Well, a very warm welcome. It's Kasim, and in this video, I want to talk about the title of "I'm 27. I feel lost. I feel like a failure." And I wanted to touch on this a little bit and sort of share my thoughts with you and sort of share my reflections on this. And the reason why I wanted to do this is because I was recently listening to a video online of a guy who had been in a relationship. He was 27 years of age, and he was sort of doing like a diary where he was sharing and reflecting on the last 27 years and the difficulties and where he was at the moment. And he said that he felt like a failure. He felt like lost. And I know that there are many people out there who will be going through a similar situation. So really, I just wanted to have a conversation with you as a friend, have a chat with you as a random stranger online, and maybe something that I share with you today can be of some value. So firstly, let me begin with this. And this is going to be a really odd thing for me to begin off with, but I would say congratulations. And I say congratulations, which sounds odd, because a lot of people don't consider failure and a lot of people don't consider being lost as life, as success. But I disagree, because this is life, right? This is the reason why I say congratulations, because failure, success, feeling lost, the feeling of being not enough. This is it. This is living. This is life, right? Many of us tend to, and I think it's something that I used to do when I was much younger. I used to have this attitude of like the carrot of, metaphorically speaking, of saying, when I get to this position, then I'll be happy. When I reach this position, then I'll be happy. Then I'll be fulfilled. Then I feel whole. And a lot of us, we tend to live our lives from this space where we never allow any white space. We never allow any room for life to actually activate itself, for life to kind of start piecing itself together. And part of the reason why I'm saying congratulations is that feeling like a failure, getting to junctures in your life where maybe you need to take a different direction, getting to junctures in your life where maybe things haven't worked out. That is it. That is literally life. That actually is living, right? And I want to congratulate you, because in order to feel like a failure, you have to have attempted to try to do something. In order to feel like you're lost, that means you have to have had some thought in your head of where you want it to be. A lot of people don't have visions. A lot of people don't have convictions. A lot of people don't have goals. A lot of people never go for anything. Many people will reach 27, 28, 29, 30, and they may be going through a divorce. And I say to you, congratulations that you're going through a divorce, because you've actually attempted to live. You've actually attempted to go out there and experience love. And I've got to say to you, man, I respect that. I respect anyone who dares delve into that capacity, that courage capacity, in order to go out there and feel love, to start a business, to create friendships. And even you might be listening to this and you're saying, Kasim, but I've been betrayed, but I have no one, but I've lost everything. Wonderful. Okay. That is life. That is, we're not supposed to have everything wonderful all the time, right? Life has ups and life has downs, and you may be experiencing a down, but that in itself is living. So firstly, I want to start off by saying congratulations to you for actually living life. You're one of the very few people who've actually gone for it. I remember someone once said that every man is a creature of the age in which he lives, and very few men are ever able to raise themselves above the ideas of the time. And what essentially that means is that a lot of people just coast along. They never go for anything. They never try anything. They never do anything differently. They never do anything for themselves. They never ever realize their greatness and their potential and exercise their capacity, because they just kind of coast along. And I always respect people who go for it, man, who kind of have an idea of what they would like, or this vision, and they start heading in that direction. Sometimes they find out that it doesn't work. Sometimes it does work. But both of these two ends of the spectrum are both valid. That's the first thing. Second thing, I would say to you, man, you got to go back to the basics by pausing and reflecting. And I say this to you because a lot of us, I remember many years ago, I read a book, and the book said, I think it was a book by John Maxwell, the leadership expert. And John Maxwell, I believe it was him, don't quote me on this. He said that when you fall down, stay there and pick something up. In other words, what he was trying to say is, a lot of people, when we fall down, let's say you're walking along and you trip, many people will try to get up really, really quickly and look around and ensure that nobody's looked at them. But he said, actually, the reason why you tripped is because you weren't paying attention, right? Is because you didn't see something along the way. And that is okay, you know? It's okay to get to a point in your life where you made an error in judgment. Maybe you married somebody and you thought that they were the one, but now you've come to realize that was an error. There are red flags which you overlooked, which you didn't see. Maybe you've got to a point in your life at the moment where you decided to be go on an extreme side of life and just have fun all the time. And now you've got to the point where you would like to change course. Maybe you'd like to become more conservative and you'd like to have a little bit more stability. But now you've come to realize, because you've spent so much time having fun and adventure, which was your right? You have the dignity to choose how you want to live your life. That was the path that you chose. You have now come to the realization that has the residual effect, that there is nothing for you to have a foundation to build on. They didn't have any savings. You didn't establish any stability in your friendships, right? And now you're having to start almost all over again. And I say to you, that's amazing. But in saying this, I don't actually believe that you're going to be going back to the basics in the sense that you're probably thinking. When I say go back to the basics, I mean, if you've bought a house and it's a 6-bedroom house or a 4-bedroom house and it's just two of you, my question is, do you really need it? What would happen if you scaled back living in a 6-bedroom house and instead you just lived in a 1 or 2-bedroom house or apartment, right? The level of freedom that you'd have, the level of security that you'd have, the level of even just pride in your home that you're going to have, because you have a lot more time to look after your home because there's a smaller home, is going to be, it's an advantage, in my opinion, right? I think it's going to really fulfill you. And that's what I mean by going back to the basics. You know, one of the things that I wrote down here is that many people acquire stuff during their 20s and their 30s, but they never ever cut off. They never go through a process of refining. You know, if you have like a garden and you grow lots and lots of things in the garden, at some point you have to cut the grass back, or you have to cut the edges back. And that may feel like you're going backwards. That may feel like you're failure. But in reality, what you're actually doing is you're pruning. You're getting rid of all the branches or the plants that are dead or that are no longer as fruitful as they can be, and you replace them with something else. In other words, what I'm trying to suggest to you is, when you are at this point in your life, just stop a minute, okay? Instead of trying to move on and trying to pass this period in your life, stop, reflect, and start thinking about what have you learned so far. Okay, there's going to be lessons, principles, there's going to be red flags, green flags, there's going to be strengths, weaknesses about your life, about other people, about you, about your decision making abilities, all of these different areas of your life. There's going to be lots and lots of things that you can come to a philosophy on. A philosophy is simply a conclusion on. Right? And that philosophy that conclusion should now inform how you move forward. And I've got to tell you that a lot of people who continuously keep failing and suffering and keep struggling in life, part of the reason why that happens is because they struggle and to stop and actually learn from what is happening to them, right? I think it was Jordan Peterson who said that the reason for the past isn't for people to remember it so that they can beat themselves with the mistakes that they made. The reason for the past is for it to be a teacher. Is for it to inform the future, for you to extract all of the lessons and the successes and the failures, extract all of that, and then you can use those to inform how you move forward in your life. Does that make sense? So for example, if you've been in a marriage and you've realized now that one of the things in a marriage which is really important to you is that you really need somebody who is intellectually on the same level as you, now that should inform how you date moving forward. So meaning, as you start dating in the future, obviously not now, one of the qualities and the priorities that you want to look for is this person intellectually on the same level as me, right? Maybe for you may be wanting children, and in your previous relationship, it wasn't something that you discussed. And now, as you move forward, you want to, and you date and whatever, you want to start thinking about, does this person want children? Your decisions moving forward should be informed in part based on what has happened in the past. Now, remember going back to that quote of Jordan Peterson, a lot of people, instead of using their past to inform them so that they can flourish and they can have momentum and they can grow, many people use the past as a bat, right? They use their old mistakes to beat themselves up. I encourage you not to do that. We've all made mistakes. Who hasn't, right? In fact, I'm always wary of people who say that they've never made mistakes or that they haven't had failures. I'm really wary of people who look too perfect, because I know that there is if you're looking perfect all the time, that means you are acting from a persona. That means there is a falseness about you. And I want to meet the authentic you, you know? I've shared with people many times, and I'll share with you again, that one of my beliefs is that we all have two colors. We have our essence, which can be any color you want. It could be blue. And then we have the color that we have to show the world, which can be red. And our job as we go through life is to basically balance out how much of ourselves we're showing, how much of these two colors are consuming our life. Now, don't get me wrong. You can't be your authentic self all the time. Right? So, for example, my authentic self as Kasim is I'm an introvert. I would much rather be by myself. But I recognize that in order to do these videos, in order to talk to you, in order to share all of this, I have to be extroverted. I have to be positive. And so I have to rebalance between, am I being too positive? Am I being too negative? Am I being the true Kasim that I am? And I'm trying to balance all of that, because I can't just be me all the time. But I don't either want to be just the fake version of me all the time either. It's this balance, right? And your job as you go through life is to rebalance that. One of the other things that I wrote down here is, what don't you need anymore and what do you need? And I touched on this earlier on. If you are someone who is feeling lost, who's had some failure, or you're around 27 years of age, start thinking about what you need now. Forget about what you want, but what do you need? Are your needs being fulfilled in your life? Which is what part of the reason why I say go back to the basics. Because a lot of us, we can go through life and we can fulfill many of the things that we want, but not the things that we need. So for example, security or stability might be something that's really, really important to you, but your life is revolved around a lot of volatility. Your career is volatile. Your friends are volatile. Your relationships are volatile, right? That may not leave you fulfilled. It may not leave you satisfied. You may be happy, but you might not feel whole, right? So you might want to start thinking about, what do you need? You may be somebody who loves and wants to drink alcohol, but you might, for example, have IBS, and you've come to the realization that that doesn't work for you. So, for example, part of the reason why I rarely ever drink alcohol is because it disturbs my body. My body just doesn't like alcohol. It doesn't like it. I don't even eat a lot of variety of food anymore. I've had to really refine and bring back what I eat on a daily basis because my body doesn't like it. It doesn't feel good for me. It doesn't fulfill my needs of feeling satiated when I eat. So now I want to eat clean food, which costs a lot more money, right? And so I've had to rejuggle and rebalance my life so that I can afford to be able to spend more money on the area of food, because that is a really important area to me. But my point being is, as you go through this period, you really want to start thinking about, what do you need and what don't you need? start cutting out some things, because not everything is good for you. One of my books, which I wrote, a goal setting book, I said, anyone can have anything and everything is possible, but not everything is possible for you. So many people go through life and we want it all. Yes, you can have it all. You just can't have it all at once. Life is this balance that you have to try and balance all the time. And a lot of people don't. We haven't yet gone through a period where we start recalibrating and rebalancing our life. Our life has been a series of just event after event after event and no recalibration. And what I'm suggesting to you is, as you're going through this period in your life, start recalibrating. That may mean you might have to go to therapy, deal with your trauma. You might have to go and speak to your parents, hear their story. You might have to even take a step back, go to university. You might have to get divorced. You might have to split up from a relationship. You might have to sell your house. You might go through a period in your life where you're going to have to stop living a certain lifestyle. You might have to cut off certain friendships. You might have to start going to the gym, which you've never enjoyed, which you've never liked. You may have to start going for walks. You may have to move to a different country. What I'm suggesting is you are going to have to try and rejiggle your life. Again, this is a suggestion. I can't tell you what to do with your life because I don't know you specifically, but you have to, I suggest to you that you try to look at it in that way. The last thing that I want to share with you, obviously this subject is so big that I could go on loads of things, but the last thing that I want to share with you is that a lot of us bottle up our feelings, but they catch up. As you go through this period, one of the things that I would recommend to you do is explore your feelings, man. And one of the easiest ways to do it is just write in a journal, write in a book, write on your notes, do voice notes. You may even do videos like this. Part of the reason why I do videos like this is because in part, I'm trying to articulate how I'm feeling or what I'm going through or what I went through. It's a diary, it's a journal, it is a form of art, it's creation, it is a manifestation of my emotional capacity as I do these videos. And what I would share with you is, don't avoid these emotions that you're going through. Do not try to rush these emotions. Feel them. I talk about to people, particularly men, because us guys, we have a habit of doing this. We have a habit of what I call motivating quotes ourselves. What essentially I mean by that is a lot of people tend to read motivational quotes like never give up when they're going through a hard time. And there is a place to never give up. But you also have to sit with your emotional state and explore what is actually going on, because emotions are time travelers. If you don't deal with your emotions through some sort of creative expression, through journaling, through therapy, through writing a song, through whatever it may be, writing a book, they are going to stay there and they're going to catch up with you later on. And the thing is, these emotions compound, and one day you're going to wake up and these emotions are going to catch up with you when everything is going well. And this is part of the reason why you find so many people in therapy who have what most people would consider to be an amazing life. They have the money, they have the success, they have the family, but yet they're depressed, but yet they're anxious all the time. It's because many times, and not always, many times they've neglected emotional states and emotional experiences and traumas that they haven't dealt with because they've been trying to just motivational quotes themselves out of those states. I encourage you not to do that. Sit with your emotions. Go to a therapist, explore them. What do they mean? Why are you feeling like this? I say to people all the time that do not underestimate the power of actually talking about your emotions. It is extremely powerful. Therapy, most of therapy is simply you talking about your emotions. And it sounds ridiculous and it sounds stupid, but human beings, we have to release how we feel somehow, and bottling up our emotions and keeping them inside and not expressing how we feel does not in any way help us. Now, if I'm talking to guys, one of the other things that I would add onto this is don't just obviously talk about your emotions all the time, but after you've talked about your emotions, allow them to inform your vision, the solutions, right? You want to talk about how you feel. You want to talk about what you've been through. You want to talk about your emotional state, and now do something. Because if you just simply talk about it as a guy, what's going to end up happening is that you're going to be in this state of limbo, right? And you don't, as my grandmother said, you're going to be a feather. You're going to just kind of be bouncing everywhere, and life's going to be taking you everywhere and anywhere. Instead, you want to start anchoring yourself. This is what I believe. This is what I like. This is what I don't like. This is how I feel. This is how I don't want to feel. This is how I do want to feel, right? And this might be a good exercise for you, by the way. You may find that as you begin to explore your emotions, you actually don't know how you feel. You actually don't even have the vocabulary to express how you feel. And that in itself tells you something about maybe some of the emotions that you've been avoiding for this period in time. And that you might want to maybe start reading poetry, listen to songs, right? Get a dictionary and start looking up vocabulary words. I know this stuff sounds like so simple, so like easy, but I promise you this, as somebody once says, what is easy to do is also easy not to do. Many people neglect the basic things. We neglect the easy things that we can do that can improve our lives. And the question that I pose to you is, are you doing the things that you're capable of doing, that are easy to do, that if you did, they wouldn't necessarily in a massive way improve your life, but they would move you forward. They would give you momentum. So that is where I wanted to finish off. I don't know whether this has been useful. I don't know whether it's added any value to you. I don't know whether, I don't know. What are your thoughts? You know, I'm not an expert at this stuff, guys. I'm only simply reflecting back to you what I've been thinking about and thinking about this subject and where I was and what advice I'd love for somebody to give me. So I'm not an expert. Like, I want to know, what do you think? You can comment below or send me a message, you know, all that fancy stuff that people say on YouTube. But otherwise, thank you very much for listening, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.